Most Saturday nights in Reno, Nevada, cruising on the downtown streets creates traffic snarls and problems for the police. On the evening of June 1st, 1991, close friends and fellow officers Derek Cecil and Jay Hawkins were nearing the end of their shift.
Derek and I, we have so many things in common. We joke with each other that we share the same brain. He was the best natural rider I've seen in a long, long time. There's an old story that there's two types of motor officers: those that have crashed and those that will crash. We had positioned ourselves in an area that we would have some concealment but still be able to see the intersection and see the violations. The kind of rule of thumb was whoever got their bike started first would get the violator. A young adult had ran the red light at 6th Street, and I proceeded after the truck.
Victor Albiniano was walking to his car when he saw the accident.
You all right?
He hit the ground and the truck rolled up on one of his legs. It was scary. It didn't even click that it was a police officer until I actually got right there to him.
God.
There's blood coming out of his helmet and a little bit out of his mouth.
Get some help or something, man.
I went for his neck and I started feeling for a pulse in his neck, and we got a pulse there. But we noticed he was having a hard time breathing.
God.
I decided not to take off the helmet because I was taught never to take pressure off a wound.
Be advised, we have a report of an officer down.
They advised that a motor officer had gone down. At first, it's like, it's Derek. But then, you're like, no, it can't be Derek. You have that sinking feeling. We decided to get the truck off his leg, but instead of drive it off, just pick it up and move it to the side. As soon as I got there and saw the scene, I remember running up to Derek and seeing him laying on his side, kind of on his back. Large amounts of blood were coming out of his helmet. You could see where the helmet had been impacted. I remember going up to him and saying, Derek, you're going to be okay, you're going to make it, you're going to, you have to make it, you're going to be okay. And turning away from him and realizing to myself that there was no way. You just don't have this kind of an accident and walk away from it.
Got a lot of blood here.
The only thing he wanted was to ride a motor. And he wasn't on motors probably 3 months when this happened.
Within 4 minutes, Regional Emergency Medical Services Authority arrived, led by paramedic Greg Billett, who knew Derek.
Emotionally, you can't think about whether you know him or not. He had a large laceration above his forehead, which probably struck the truck first. His injuries were definitely critical in nature.
Derek, you got his neck. I'm going to take his helmet.
And I started talking to him again, Derek, you're going to be okay, you're going to make it, you have to make it. You can't do this to me. And Greg, is a friend of mine, kind of pushed me back and said, Jay, I got to get in here, I got to do my job. And you felt so helpless.
Go ahead, roll him. We're going to need to roll him up on his side again.
Derek's supervisor, Sergeant Greg Dion, went to the scene as soon as he heard the call.
I remember feeling the sickening in the pit of my stomach. All my life, I've seen people run over by trains, killed in car accidents, and you become immune to that after a while. When it's one of your own, when it's somebody you're close to, I felt just a tremendous shock. I just remember watching the paramedics work on him and thinking he's going to die.
Ready, up.
Head injuries are so unpredictable.
I got it.
If he did survive it, was he going to be the same person? You know, was it going to be my friend again? I turned to the sergeant who was on scene. I said, I'm escorting the ambulance. And I remember Sergeant Butterman, the only thing he said to me was, just be careful.
Hang in there, buddy.
I did not see an improvement in the 15 minutes that I was with Derek. You like to see somebody at least come around and start talking to you, but he never did.
Hold on, man. You'll do okay.
While Derek was transported to Washoe Medical Center, his girlfriend, Melissa Shanks, was notified of his accident.
Hi, Greg. Give me a report. Okay. I was very shaky when I got the call. I didn't know what happened to Derek at that point.
Okay, let's go.
When I walked into the room, I saw a person being bagged. And it was like seeing someone that you didn't know. I was really scared.
No spontaneous motion, his eyes are closed, his pupils are non-reactive.
At that point, really started to hit. He probably wasn't going to make it.
One of the physicians who helped treat Derek was Dr. Hayden Hill.
We have a scale of rating severe head injuries. 15 is the highest or best score you can have. 3 is the lowest you can have. When he came into the hospital, Derek was a 4, which is a very, very severe head injury.
I remember going home that night. I just sat with my son, who at the time was probably 2 years old, and I didn't really want to leave him. It's a slap in the face that, you know, how quick and how precious life really is.
24-year-old Derek underwent surgery to relieve brain swelling and repair multiple skull fractures. But it took 8 days before he emerged from the coma.
He looked so pathetic. He was trying to talk to me. He couldn't. He was looking at me. I had tears running down my face because I thought, this guy is never going to come back to work. He's never going to be a cop. He's never even going to be the same again. He's not going to be Derek Cecil anymore.
When he first came to rehab, he still was very, very confused, had severe memory problems, had difficulty moving about in bed. And so our rehab team was focusing on those areas, basically starting from a point where he would be like a baby and relearning all the functions that we take for granted as adults. Our goal was for him to be able to go home, to enter vocational rehabilitation, and ultimately obtain suitable employment. Nowhere in my thought process at that point did I believe he would be able to return to be a police officer. Fortunately, he made a liar out of me.
Miraculously, less than 5 months after his near-fatal accident, Derek Cecil returned to work at the Reno Police Department. Although he has permanent hearing loss in one ear, he has otherwise recovered from his injuries.
It's hard to express the emotion and feelings I have towards each of the individuals directly involved. I'd like to thank both of the paramedics from REMSA, the hospital staff. The feelings are overwhelming. I wouldn't even know how to word it correctly without sounding too silly on TV.